So this series is over. The Heat, they just couldn't score on the Bucks. Drew Holiday is way better than Eric Bledsoe. Giannis defended Jimmy. Brook Lopez, they just couldn't get him out of the paint. I will forever remember the first couple of plays of this series where they ran some Duncan Robinson action and Brook Lopez did not step up on it, but didn't seem to matter in the end. They ran one handoff play in the first quarter of this game, and it actually caused Brook Lopez to get out of the paint, and it was maybe the first time that happened all series. It felt like that to me, honestly. But there we go. Miami, they're going to get swept. They're going to lose in 5, whatever. This series is done. And when I think about how does Miami give themselves a real chance at a title over the next couple years, the obvious one is you decline Dragic and Iguodala's contracts to give yourself the cap space, and you hope that Kawhi Leonard wants to sign. There's the little rumor out there right now. It's not a big one, and I think the idea of him returning to the Clippers is still what's really out there, but given the current state of the Clippers, where they're down 2-0 to Dallas, we'll have to see. I mean, I know Kawhi loves LA, but I'm going to assume the guy also wants to maximize his chances at winning a title, and it could be Miami. Him, Jimmy, Bam, whatever else they could hold on to. I mean, Duncan Robinson's restricted free agency, you might end up losing him if you're going all in on Kawhi, but you'll take that, of course. You know, that team would be very frightening, and that team would be definitely up there in the East. If it was not going to be Kawhi, then, well, unfortunately for Miami, the class drops off pretty hard. I mean, Chris Paul or Kyle Lowry would definitely help them. If I had to bet, it seems like Lowry has a better chance of becoming a free agent than CP, but even then, I would not be surprised if Lowry hung around in Toronto, if they wanted to keep him, of course. But still, that wouldn't be for super long. I mean, Lowry would probably give you a couple more years than CP would. It would make him better, no doubt. There's DeRozan, who, that one, I mean, it could be awkward. In one sense, it's, yeah, DeRozan, he's gotten better as a passer. He's become more efficient. In another sense, it's your top 3 guys are not 3-point shooters, and at a certain point, you might just be pushing too far against the way basketball is played nowadays. There just might be too many guys. The defense doesn't have to defend when they're at the 3-point line without the ball. And after that, the last dude is John Collins, who, he's got a bit of an awkward game because he likes to score in the paint, but he can't play center because you don't trust him defensively at the 5. So there are times when he's just kind of not in the offense, as we're seeing for the first 2 games with Atlanta against the Knicks. But you have him in Miami, you have him setting a bunch of screens, and you have the defenders there who can mask the problems that he has defensively, even if he's gotten a little better. Then that could be cool. Atlanta might match anything for him. They might just let him go if you give him 20-something million a year. And, it's a 23-year-old who's averaged 20 points a game in the NBA. That guy doesn't happen too often where he's actually available, so maybe Miami would jump on that if they couldn't get a superstar. I think Lonzo would be interesting in Miami. And also, are they going to re-sign Oladipo? What's going to happen there? I doubt they would. If they do, it's going to be for less than his current $21 million, I would imagine. If I can move beyond free agency and just think about all the other stuff, Tyler Hero didn't really take off the way that I thought he would. I mean, I believed in Tyler Hero. That's what I said at the deadline. I still think he's going to be good, but a little disappointing of a season for him. His off-the-dribble skills, his playmaking, and honestly his consistency as a shooter just were not there this season. A little better as a passer. The assist number went up. We'll give him that, but he's got some things to work on, and the question is, could Miami have ever really traded for James Harden? I mean, yeah, there's the thing out there of, it's Hero, Robinson, Achua, the picks that they would be able to move. But I also can't help but think, were they ever really in the running, or was that just between the Sixers and the Nets, and the Rockets were just using Miami as a leverage thing? I don't know. But clearly it did not happen. And when you just think about the years that they have left with Jimmy Butler, I mean, Jimmy's going to be 32 next year, got the player option after next season. Is it a certainty that he's going to come back? I mean, I know he loves Miami and all that, but if he's just going to be like, well, I only have a few more years left to compete for a title, that'll be interesting. They, of course, already have Bam locked up, so that's good. Of course, the other big thing was they made the Oladipo trade, hoping that they could get the guy in Indiana, or close to the guy in Indiana, and of course, that did not happen as well. If they want to get super aggressive, maybe you'll see Precious Achiuwa or Tyler Hero in some sort of trade rumors. I mean, again, they don't have too much time left with Jimmy. He's going to be 32, and maybe even if he ages well, like till he's like 36, still really good. That's the type of window where you want to make a move right now. But of course, that's all dependent on who wants out and all that stuff. Even then, Miami would really just have to move players because their draft pick situation, it's a whole lot of protections to teams, and there's stipulations in which they get their pick, but it's all too confusing for me to tell exactly how they get their pick. Like, there's a very strong chance their pick this year goes to the Thunder or the Rockets. Maybe they still get one. I'm too confused by it. The other thing to make note of is Bam, who to me just they didn't use correctly in the series. I think they should have done more handoffs with shooters to freak Brook Lopez out more, but Bam, they need him to be more of a scorer. And I know it's a little unfair given that he's already exceeded expectations so much, but he got the max contract. And when you got the max, you can't cap out at 19 points a game and lower than that once you run into a good defensive team in the playoffs. The shooting would be the obvious thing. I mean, you know, his three has not been a thing yet, even if it's talked about as if he can be a shooter from outside. His mid-range, which the Bucks dared him to attempt so much in this series, I mean, it's coming along, but it's not where it needs to be right now. Personally, I think Bam can be more of a ball handler and can shoot like 10 free throws a game. And I feel like he could pull a Jokic sort of thing where you run screens for him with him as the ball handler. So we'll just see. I don't think Bam has hit his ceiling. It's simply a matter of how high is it. And then again, they need Hero to be a lot better next year. And also, I want to say with Achiuwa, while I understand the reason to be excited with him because of his defensive versatility and that nice stuff, will the fit with him and Bam ever get awkward? I mean, Bam is so skilled, maybe you can play a big like Achiuwa next to him, but, you know, if you're Miami and you don't know if those two can really play together, and you should definitely try it out, but if you don't know for a fact if those two can be good together, then that might make you be more aggressive with some sort of a move. So yeah, that's it. You know, to reiterate, there's some life in free agency. I mean, DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Mike Conley, if he ends up leaving the Jazz, maybe you go nuts with a John Collins offer. I mean, there's guys they can go for, even somebody like Schroeder. And again, maybe a big trade opens up. So that's it.